Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, moni moli wanji, namaste, jambo, bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We are coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so delighted and so honored that you are joining us in our mission to help families grow closer through reading. Please be sure to tell all of your family and friends about the show, and please subscribe to the show on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Good Pods, wherever you find your podcasts. Our guest today is Victoria Smith. She is here to celebrate her brand new picture book. It's a certified great read, and it's called Tuxedo Baby. Before we invite Victoria into the studio, we want to let you know that this episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast is brought to you by The Adventures of Forkman. What's that noise? Written by Tiffany Caldwell and W.R. McKenzie. When poor manners are present, Forkman will be there to save the day. Join Catherine and William as they learn how to load the dishwasher properly and avoid inappropriate distractions at the table with the help of all their utensil friends. This is the second book in the Adventures of Forkman series, and it is a great introduction to mealtime etiquette for readers of all ages. This really is a fun book, and it's a great way to teach your kids all about great manners. Get it today. The Adventures of Forkman. What's that noise? This episode of the podcast is also brought to you by Snoodles, Cadoodles, Poodles, and lots of noodles. Out of a world where crankiness reigns and cars run on sauerkraut comes a brand new invention, the Snoodlemobile, the brainchild of Herbie Schnoodleman. Now cars are powered by noodles, and the delicious aroma produced fills everyone with happiness, except for Sour Cruderman, the brains behind the once popular Krautmobile. But when Cruderman decides to seek revenge on his business rival, the unexpected happens. After all, when cars run on noodles, anything is possible. The newest tale from Stephen Joseph invites readers of all ages to enter a world where imagination is king and even the crankiest person can find happiness. Get your copy today. Snoodles, Cadoodles, Poodles, and lots of noodles by Stephen Joseph. Join us right now from Alameda in the great state of California. Our guest is here today to celebrate her brand new award-winning picture book. It's called Tuxedo Baby. Please welcome to the show, Victoria Smith. Hey, Victoria, how are you?
I'm great, and I'm so happy to hear that it won an award. Yes.
Yes. Tuxedo Baby is our latest Reading with Your Kids certified great read. The official word came out a week before today, before we're recording this. Our full review is available on readingwithyourkids.com. In a nutshell, our panel thought the book was fantastic. They loved the illustrations. They loved the story. Tell everybody, Victoria, about the story and about who Tuxedo Baby is.
All right. Well, Tuxedo Baby is, he lives with his colony and in Chile, and he only wanted one thing. And the one thing that he wanted was two loving parents. And through the whispers of the wind, the conure parrots who live in Peru, who did not have a baby, thought this would be perfect. So they went and they picked him up and brought him to Peru and began to show him all the things that, you would teach your little ones, how to, make your bed, how to play with your toys. And of course with them, how to screech at decibels up to 120 because conures really do screech loudly. And then they, when he was a little bit older, they were able to put him in school, but it wasn't like a school where he could learn how to hunt and fish. It was a school where he could learn to hunt and soar. So he would sit in his, the little classroom and he would watch the other conures fly around, and he only did one thing, because that's really what he wanted to do, just to be exactly like his new parents. And so we had a friend, and his friend said, no, don't worry, Tuxedo Baby, come on over. I'm going to bring something. He goes, oh, I'm so excited. Will you come? So his friend came over the house, and he said, put this on. And it was a Halloween costume with wings. And of course, in their thoughts that, of course, he's going to be able to fly. And unfortunately, he went down. And of course, he's screeching, and his mom comes flying in, and his friend goes flying out. And so she bandages them all up and just says, honey, penguins can't fly. You are a penguin. You just can't fly. You have to know your limitations. And so the next, about a week passed, and he wanted to have another friend over, and she said, fine, just remember what happened last time. And he goes, oh no, we're just going to play ball. And of course, he's having a really good time. He throws his flippers up. His friend's having a good time. And then they see the ball, and the ball goes past the patio, slides past the garage, and the grass and into the kitchen window. Well, he's like going like this, like, oh no, this can't happen. So he sends his friend off, and, of course, Mrs. Conyers in the kitchen. She's just shocked, and he feels so bad. He's sad because he disappointed her. And, so Mr. Conyer is home, and they decide that they need to tell him something because, Tuxedo Baby's growing up. He's getting bigger. He's about 14 inches tall now. He's about 6 pounds, and they had some good news, and they needed good news after all of this stuff happening. And he had been an only child, so they didn't know how he would react, but they told them that he was going to have a baby sister in 25 days. And so he just like this. And they're watching him, and then all of a sudden, he's jumping up and down. He's so excited. Everything that they taught him when they brought him home, he was so excited to teach her. And he said, I can teach her how to, scream at decibels. I can show her how to make her bed. I can do this. I can do that. And he goes, but mainly goes, I can show her how to love. And that's really what this story is about. It's about family love. Mm-hmm. And, in the end, they are sitting on the couch, and the mom is, doing her knitting. Dad's reading the newspaper. And then he's in the middle, and he looks up at them and says, I've been called Tuxedo Baby for a while. He says, but now with the baby sister coming, maybe they can call me Tux, big brother. And they just stopped what they were doing, and they just embraced him. And that's what I mean. The story is really about family love. That is my biggest thing. There's many, many things, but that is the biggest thing. So that's the story in a nutshell.
Yeah, and what a neat story. And that's one of the things our panel loved about the book is that it was about love and adoption and different types of families,
Yep.
Tuxedo Baby was a penguin, lost his mom and dad to an oil spill, and was adopted by these parrots. And that's such a beautiful, loving story. And it's a story that a lot of kids experience. If they're not in a mixed family, then they have friends in school that are, in a biracial family or multicultural family. And it's a really beautiful thing. It's something that we didn't see a lot almost 100 years ago when I was in elementary school, but it's something that's very common and really should be celebrated. And I love the way that you celebrated that in Tuxedo Baby.
Thank you.
Yeah. Was there something specific that inspired you to write Tuxedo Baby?
The funny thing is that I wrote it about, I always kept saying 20 years, but I'm looking at myself. Wait a minute. It's about 30 years ago. And I actually went through the process of, regular publishers, etc., and denied. And of course, I was in my 40s then. And so I thought, I just, I had my kids and I'm busy with school and everything. And so I kind of put it aside. And the story I wrote then is completely changed from the story that it is today. Because I had an issue with how was I going to do that adopting thing? How was I going to, I didn't want to scare the kids that, what happened to the parents. So it's just kind of assumed like you did. And it's it's such a better refined story through the process of just rewriting. But as a teacher, you read so much to your kids, right? And I'm always buying books, and especially scholastic books, which is a wonderful program for teachers. And, they started offering books and, that children were writing in classes. And they have the awards, the Kids Are Author Awards. And so I started buying as many of those as they would come in. And then I would tell my students that, see, this class wrote this book. You can write. And I had a lot of kids that, not a lot, but in every class, you always have those that don't like writing. And so I started doing writing workshop, and, kids that didn't like to write, I would okay, well, tell me your story. And then I would write it for them. And then that's how theirs would become a book. And kids began to love this. They couldn't wait. I did it 2 days a week, have it expanded to 3 days a week. And other teachers are going, how are you getting writing in with everything else that we have to do? How are you doing it? And mainly because they loved it so much. And what it was is that after they finally got the writing done, and it was, kind of redrafted and everything and corrected, then they got what I call good paper, was really the, kind of like construction paper. And then we would fold it in half, and then they could, then they would put their best printing, that they would then write the story, and then the pictures were later. I always wanted them to do the pictures last. And then sometimes I had to work with some kids who were reluctant to do the writing. I said, okay, do the pictures first. So we had some, flexibility there. But I think that the fact that they loved it so much, and then of course, after I finally retired, I thought, well, I still want, even though I'm not in the classroom, I've always loved writing. I've always loved writing stories with my kids. And I thought, this is how now I can influence by still being in the classroom, by hopefully teachers getting my books. And so I included curriculum also. It's not in the book, but it's on my website. So I included curriculum for K through 4th grade. Also, just so that it could be a resource for teachers or homeschooler parents. So I don't know. I guess I have a lot of influences. I like Joanna Cole. With her magic school bus. I love that she was able to put the fiction with the nonfiction. So I kind of incorporated some of that within the story. But at the end of the story, then I talk about oil spills, and I talk about, the Magellanic penguin. And then I talk about the conures, the cherry-head conures. And, ironically, both of them can be found in San Francisco. The conure parrots, people, they are extremely loud. I mean, very, very loud. And people were actually letting them go. People that had conure parrots, they're just letting them go. Well, there became a group of them, and they're on Telegraph Avenue. And there was a book and a movie about the conure parrots of Telegraph Avenue. And then also the Magellanic penguin, we have at the San Francisco Zoo. And, but getting back to the authors, for Joanna Cole, I liked her because she had the mix of fiction and nonfiction. For, Beverly Clearly, I loved her because of her humor, with her Ralph stories about the mouse, and with Ramona stories, and then Peggy Parrish. My kids loved Amelia Bedelia, the humor. So I guess it's just a lot of stuff that kind of influenced me, not just one thing.
Wow. And you mentioned that you retired as a teacher. How important as a teacher is it for families to read with their kids? And is it something, are you able as a teacher to sit down with a kid and kind of know instinctually, this is a kid whose parents read to him every day, or this is a kid who's never read to at home?
Yes, you can see that. And it is important. We would have our, notes to go home or whatever. And what part of our daily homework was reading. And the kids needed to read for a certain period of time. And yes, you could tell, but a lot of times the kids that didn't, it was only because they may not have books at home and they may not have access to it. Whereas you'd see other kids bringing in all these chapter books and real thick books, and you know that that's a family that reads. And so then I started doing I had so many books, so I started doing a system where people could check out books as well, so that they could also, because they would say, there's nothing, we can't get to the library, we don't have a lot of books. And so it was like, no problem. So I had ample books that I could put in these bags, for kids to read. But it is important. It is always important. And, there is a bonding there when you're sitting next to your mom or dad and they're reading to you and you're listening to them. And that's really where you're getting, a lot of how you are, role modeling is so important as a parent, important as a teacher.
Yeah.
I remember, kids always do things, right? They're doing things that they're not supposed to be doing or whatever. And then I remember, this one child either ran into something he wasn't supposed to do, and then all of a sudden, everybody's gasping. What do? They look at you because they're expecting you to either blow up or whatever. So my whole thing was always stay calm and okay, all right, you need to get paper towels, you need to clean up go and get it. Or if it was go get the broom, you know where the broom is, and then we moved on. And so I don't know, role modeling has always been extremely important. And I think the reading and, having them read to their children is something that become a lifetime thing for them as well.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I've had so many guests on the podcast just talk about their memories of their parents reading, seeing their parents. LeVar Burton, when I asked him what inspired his passion for reading, he just laughed and said his mom, who was always with a novel or a newspaper or a magazine and was always reading to him. So I'm very happy that you're reminding us how important it is as parents to read with our kids and continue to read with our kids after they're able to read independently. One of the things you mentioned also was that you were constantly buying books. I just want to take this time to, we've heard it before, but I think it's always important to just remind families that teachers, thankfully most teachers are making a decent living, but much better than they had been many years ago, but we don't often recognize how much teachers put into their classroom, how much of their own money they spend to buy supplies, to buy books, to buy tissues, to wipe runny noses. Can you just talk just a little bit about that and how families can support their teachers?
It's true. It's true because, not often are we able to have, we do get a stipend, like, the district will, but it's very small. It's like $200. And basically that is to get certain things that you need for the classroom. But if you want things to improve in your classroom, definitely that's something that you do purchase. And it can be up to $1,000 a year for some teachers because you're constantly, replenishing all the supplies. And if you're also giving away some of the supplies, then, it's a constant, but it's something that teachers do because they want to do that for their classroom. Sure. It's always wonderful when you get parents, and we did. I was really happy. We would get parents, that would say at the beginning of the year, please let us know what we can do to contribute if you need anything. And that was always really nice because it's not something that's always, it's not a practice. It's always done. So yes, if parents can, contribute to mainly just saying to their child's teacher, is there something that you need? Is there something that you would like? And just that little kind of encouragement, it's nice because a teacher can say, sure, I really would like to get this, whatever it is. And, if the parent is willing to do that, so that their child can enjoy it, then, it's a really nice thing. So.
Yeah. It's So important. My wife, I've mentioned it on the podcast, my wife just retired after teaching for 34 years in the Boston public school system. And $1,000 a year in equipment, that would be on the low end. For what you would spend. So now the Tuxedo Baby is out there, and it become a certified great read. Are you planning on continuing to write children's books in the future?
Oh my gosh, yes, I can't wait. It's kind of, I'm in that marketing kind of stage, which is it's just so hard to put yourself out there. And I'm going through that right now, but no, I definitely already have. And ironically, about 30 years ago, I wrote the second story. And now I have to kind of fine tune it because the first story, the original Tuxedo Baby, did not have a baby sister in it. Mm-hmm. And I know that readers would go, well, wait a minute. Where's the baby sister? Right? So I need to incorporate her in the second book that I have. And it's basically Tuxedo Baby and his annoying cousins. And then I thought the third book would be on the baby. And so I'm in the process now of thinking of names for the baby. Mm-hmm. And I have written also, through COVID, one story after another. Now, not on Tuxedo Baby, but on other stories. So I just have them. I have about 8 others that I'm really excited to do as well. So it's kind of like just time. I'm just getting in there, and I'm planning the second story. That is already written, but it needs, like I said, to go through this process, this fine wash. And I'm planning to do that at the end of this month. I'll begin, which is coming up right around the corner. Awesome. And so I'm excited. No, I'm very excited. And I always listen to what you say. I'm 100 years old. You're not 100 years old, because if you are, then I am. But it's something that I want to do. And what greater way to write for kids? Mm-hmm. It's just, I'm very excited in this journey that I'm looking forward. So
that's really exciting. Well, I know people are going to want to know where they can go to find out more about Tuxedo Baby and find out more about Victoria Smith.
Okay, well, I have a website, and it's FamilyZooProductions.com. Mm-hmm. And then my email is www.WeLoveBooks@FamilyZooProductions.com. And you can find me on Amazon, of course, and I also on Barnes & Nobles. We have a local bookstore here. It's called Book Inc. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I do want to comment on the family zoo. I am a lover of animals. Mm-hmm. I've always loved animals. I've always had animals and still do have animals. And one day I had a service person over, and the cat was here, the dog was here. I think I had a lizard at the time from school, and I have a box turtle. And he goes, "Whoa, you have a zoo." And it just kind of clicked. And so I thought, okay, that works for me. Family Zoo Productions.
Wonderful. Well, we're really excited that you had a chance to spend time with us. We're really excited that Tuxedo Baby is our latest certified great read, and we are looking forward to those new stories coming from you. And we want to thank you so much for spending time with us today. Our guest has been Victoria Smith. Please be sure to check out Tuxedo Baby. Thanks, Victoria.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Please be sure to join us for the next episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guest will be Mary Sullivan. She'll be here to celebrate her YA title, a novel in verse. It's called High. It's a really powerful conversation. You don't want to miss it. That's the next episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Hey, if you're the author of a fantastic children's book, we would love to help you celebrate your book and let the world know all about it. There's so many ways that we can help you. You can be a guest here on the podcast and tell the world about your book in a long-form conversation. You can be like Victoria and submit your book to our Certified Great Read panel. And if they believe that your book is worthy of 4 or 5 out of 5 stars, it becomes a Certified Great Read, letting the world know that your book deserves a place in their family library. You can also take part in our monthly promotion program, and we'll celebrate your book with commercials here on the podcast, messages to our 100,000 plus social media followers, display your book on our nationwide network of digital pedestrian billboards, and have your book on display at whatever live event we will be at in a given month. Learn all about this and more by going to our website, readingwithyourkids.com, clicking on the Authors Click Here button at the top of the page and scrolling on down. Hey, also, if you are going to be anywhere in the New England area on August 6, 2022, please make your way down to the Buttonwood Park Zoo in beautiful New Bedford, Massachusetts, and help us celebrate episode 1500 of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We'll be there. We hope you'll be there, too. Want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful. Of course, want to start by thanking our guest, Victoria Smith. Be sure to check out her certified great read picture book, Tuxedo Baby. I also want to thank our sponsors, The Adventures of Forkman by Tiffany Caldwell and W.R. McKenzie. And, of course, Snoodles, Cadoodles, Poodles, and lots of noodles by our friend Stephen Joseph. I want to thank my team, Fatima Khan, Rory Brady, Nicole Bell Castro, Mirabella Q, Rain Penn. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.